Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Keto and the Chaos. My name is Tammy, and on this channel, I like to share all my tips and tricks on how I lost 200 pounds without surgery and how you can be successful on your own weight loss journey. So, if that's what you're looking for, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell for more videos like this one to inspire you to get started. Welcome, everybody. As you come on in, I'd like you to say hello so that I can shout you out here at the beginning of this video. I know you guys have to watch a commercial before you get in here, so I'm gonna be patient and wait for everybody to get in. So come on in, everybody. Let's say hi and welcome you and all of that fun stuff. I'm sorry I haven't been posting on Instagram and Facebook to let you guys know that I'm going live. With the whole COVID-19 thing, my schedule is different and I'm way behind. It's hard for me to get on here and get this finished, get this done, get these videos going on time. And so I'm usually in a rush and I don't have time to do that. And I feel really bad. So, oh, I'm glad you didn't have to watch an ad. Welcome. That's awesome. So if you're coming in, don't forget to say hello. Give this video a thumbs up so that the YouTube algorithm will share it with other people and we can get some more folks on board with keto, because I know this video is an important one because I know there's a lot of people that say negative things about keto and they don't have to be negative. So I want to talk about that today. So I'm going to see who's here. Let's see. Karen Rothwell is here, my awesome moderator. Everybody say hello to Karen. She will be watching and monitoring the comment section. She usually answers questions and deletes interesting comments so that I don't have to read them out loud. If you guys didn't notice, I did get my braces off. Hallelujah. I still feel weird looking at myself. I feel like my mouth is too small, but I'll get used to it, I'm sure. Just like I got used to having the braces on. So, hey, Pauline, Cooper's Cats is here. Welcome. Kelly Reese? Reyes? I'm trying. Welcome. Terry Lee, welcome. Lynn Anderson, welcome. All right. Looks like that's everybody who's here right at this moment. Let me make sure. Oh, that's awesome. I will say that one, Pauline, since we are waiting for people to come in still. She says, since last week with my heavy cream problem, I haven't had any and I've shifted 2 kilograms. I just needed to say my problem out loud, I think. Yeah, sometimes admitting it is part of most of the problem, right? Admitting that we have a problem is very motivating to help us to correct it. All right, so Patty Montero is here. Welcome. Reese. All right, I'll try really hard to remember that. Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, there's only a few of us here, but that's okay. We're gonna start talking about this because this is a very important subject that I get a lot of people who don't understand keto and they don't understand how ketosis works and they just really have a negative opinion of it. I won't go into every single negative opinion. Maybe I'll save that for another day. But today we're going to talk about the top 10, my top 10 side effects of keto and how to handle it. And so some of these are good side effects and some of these are not so pleasant side effects of keto. And there's something that you can do for most of them. Okay, so the first 5 have to do with ketosis itself. So ketosis is just a state of the body where it uses ketones for fuel instead of sugars. Basically, I can't even remember what they're called anymore. Glycogen? Is that what it is? I haven't run on sugar for so long, I don't even know what sugar is called anymore. I love it. Anyway, so it's basically when you flip the switch in your body to tell it that it can run on a different kind of fuel, ketones are that fuel. And that is like the byproduct of eating a low carbohydrate diet, is that you tend to produce ketones and your body will run on them. And that's the idea. That's the beauty of it. That's what makes keto work, and it's what makes it so great. But there are some side effects to the state of ketosis. One nice thing about side effects to ketosis is that it can let you know that it's working, that you're actually in ketosis. You do not need to use pee strips or blood meters or anything like that to determine whether or not you're in ketosis. First of all, if you're eating under 20 net carbs, you can just count on it. That's just the truth right there. I didn't start testing any ketones at all until last summer. So when I was about 2.5 years in on keto, I finally bit the bullet and decided to test my ketones. I didn't need to test it because there's really no reason to know if you're in ketosis or not, since weight loss is really driven by calorie deficit. But ketosis is a benefit to calorie deficit because it makes it a little easier. So when you're in ketosis, one of the things that you will experience probably right away is bad breath. And I think that's the one that people complain about a lot. Good news is that the bad breath does not last. As your body gets better at burning ketones, it won't spill them as often. And that means that the bad breath smells won't last forever. So in the interim, choose sugar-free gum, rinse out with Listerine, brush your teeth a few times a day. Really, I haven't found it to be that terrible. It never really seemed to bother my husband at all, and I was never super severe. Your case of bad breath might be worse. I don't know, but I can think of worse things in the world that I've got to deal with than having a little bit of bad breath here and there. So that's one of them. But that is a good sign that you are producing ketones when you start to have a different smell in your breath. Along with that goes with body odor. You might have a little bit more trouble controlling your body odor, and you might need to switch to a little bit higher level of deodorant or something like that Lumi deodorant that keeps getting advertised. I've never tried it, so I have no idea if it's any good, but you might need to up your deodorant game for a little while. But that also should resolve itself as your body gets used to burning ketones and no longer spilling them. So what's happening is that you're getting an excess of ketones in the body because your body is producing it, burning all this fat and everything, but it isn't super efficient quite yet at running perfectly on ketones, and so it tends to expel them in your sweat and in your, spit, things like that. And so they tend to cause some kind of odor, but it's not like, gosh, it's not the worst thing in the whole world. I really never really thought it was that big of a deal. I just switched to a men's deodorant instead of a women's deodorant. Got a nice smelling Old Spice one, and it's nice enough. It works just great. Another one that is a little bit more complicated and more irritating that I have not personally dealt with is the keto rash. But the keto rash is also caused by acetone, but ketones being basically put out in the sweat, and your body doesn't like it. And so it will get itchy and red and rashy. There's really not much you can do to combat that until it goes away. You can try creams and whatever. You can try lotions. The only cure is waiting long enough or going back to eating carbs. A lot of people give up and go back to eating carbs when they're dealing with it. But if you wait long enough, your body will burn the ketones properly, and then you won't be suffering from that anymore. So that one is kind of a little bit of a problem. The one benefit of ketosis that is the best benefit, in my opinion, but it also can be problematic, is lack of appetite. So you'll know you're getting really great into ketosis. So the first few days, you're going to suffer, guys. Your body is going to beg you for glycogen. Your body is going to beg you for carbohydrates, and you're going to have to fight like you've never fought before. That's just overcoming the switch from burning sugar to burning ketones. It's trying to convince your body that it can do that, right? And so your body doesn't want to do that. It wants the easy fuel, and so it'll beg you for it. So that's one thing that you just kind of have to walk through. You'll know you've hit ketosis and you're feeling good and things are going well when you all of a sudden don't want to eat anything. Now, that can be a blessing, but it can also be a curse, because we do need to still eat on a ketogenic way of eating. We can't just starve to death. That would be bad. We need a certain amount of protein for our muscles to grow and to repair and for our body to run. So we need to monitor that. So when I'm helping someone to lose weight, I highly recommend following macros. I know that even Dr. Finney does not say to follow macros, supposedly, but he does give you a protein number to hit, and you do need to hit that. I think the difference between what I'm saying when I'm following macros and what Dr. Finney is saying is that he wants the fats to be a little bit more intuitive. But I have found, especially with people who really tend to overeat, that we just cannot monitor our fat intake without help. And so I highly recommend following macros. The nice thing about macros is that you know for sure if you ate enough, because when you are dealing with the lack of appetite, and it can last a while, this isn't like a short-term thing. This is just like your body is comfy. It has tons of food right on it, and it's not begging you to consume it because it's like, oh, hey, look at all these body fat stores I can burn. That's great, right? We like that. That's the best part. But we need to make sure that we're eating enough to be rejuvenating our muscles. You know, we're not losing muscle mass along with the fat. That we want to lose the fat, we don't want to lose the muscle. So if we're monitoring our intake, we can make sure we eat enough even when we don't feel like it. And yes, I do mean you need to eat your protein every single day, even if you don't feel like it. People don't like to hear that. They really believe in intuitive eating. And guys, if you're a food addict, intuitive eating is probably not going to work for you, at least for a really long time. We do not know how to monitor that well, and our bodies don't. And we have to kind of smack our bodies around and say, hey, dude, this is what we're doing. Listen to my brain, and we're going to do this. And that can be tricky at first, especially when you're feeling like, hey, I could just not eat anything and I'll lose lots of weight. Well, that's may be true, but you can also risk damaging your metabolism long term if you eat at complete nothing for a really long time. So we do want to have a nice calorie deficit. We do want to eat very little, the bare minimum of what we need, right? So that we can just take care of our bodies, but yet encourage it to like burn extra body fat. And the smaller you get, the harder that will become. And that's kind of where I'm at. At the beginning, it was cake. I was never hungry. Are you kidding me? My body had a smorgasbord of food, right? It was happy. And over time, it's not like that anymore. So sadly, lack of appetite is not a problem for me anymore. Darn it. But my hunger cues have never been as severely painful as they were when I was eating a carbohydrate diet. I would literally feel like I was ravenously starving and going to die, and I'd have a headache and my stomach hurt an hour and a half after eating carbs. And I don't ever have that very often. I don't even think I've ever felt like that since I started keto. And I've been eating ketogenically for 3.5 years. So it's a really long time to be comfortable. So even just a tiny bit of hunger irritates me because I'm used to not feeling hungry, which is so nice. It's like the best. So that's, like I said, you need to be happy you have that because it's a tool to help you lose weight, but also make sure you monitor what you eat so that you make sure you get enough. Okay, so those are the main ketosis ones. The last one kind of leads into the next section, which is electrolyte caused. And so the one thing that is ketosis and electrolyte, it goes in both categories, is peeing a lot. Yes, you will pee more than you ever thought possible, especially if you have a lot of water retention in your body, inflammation from eating a standard American diet. If you're going into this, gung-ho, just like cold turkey going into this, you're going to have a dramatic whoosh at the very beginning. If you don't have a dramatic whoosh, that usually just means that you weren't harboring a lot of weight in water in your body. It doesn't mean that the ketogenic diet isn't working. It just means that you personally aren't harboring a lot of weight in water, which is good, right? We don't want to do that. My body is not like that, as we well know. I'm the queen of the whoosh. I'm the queen of water retention, and that has not changed since I went to eating just these clean foods again. I'm still retaining water even though I've had a huge whoosh. It's crazy. So yes, you will pee a lot. That doesn't necessarily last forever. I highly recommend not drinking a ton of water. You should really drink to thirst, but if you can't really monitor thirst, like if you seem like you're always thirsty, or if you just feel like you're never drinking any water, 60 to 80 ounces of water is sufficient for most people, even large overweight people. Do not be pushing for a water number. You do not need to get your half your weight in ounces. Oh my gosh, that's for the standard American diet. That's to flush things out of your system. You don't need that because ketogenic diet is already flushing. Now, I don't have all the science in front of me of why that happens. I know it's something to do with the kidneys and with the pancreas and insulin and all this sciencey stuff, and I've talked about it in other videos, but basically, suffice it to say, your body flushes when you're on keto. It's anti-inflammatory. You're just not eating things that your body usually to retain water, and so you tend to dump it. Now, this is where the problem comes in. And that's why people think that keto flu is something that you deal with at the beginning and you get through. That isn't true. Keto flu can hit any single time in your entire ketogenic journey. Keto flu could hit me tomorrow if I don't do what I need to do to prevent it. Keto flu is caused by an electrolyte drop. And the electrolyte drop is caused by your body peeing a lot, which is another reason we suggest not drinking so much water, because you don't want to pee all your electrolytes out, because it's really, really hard to stay on top of those electrolytes. Even now when I have a bush, it does not matter how well I monitor my electrolytes, I still suffer some effects of keto flu every single time that happens to me. So some people only have that initial water weight whoosh at the very beginning, and so they think that keto flu is just something you push through and then you never have it again. That is not true. Keto flu is caused by electrolytes. So the symptoms of keto flu are the next section of things that people complain about and say that ketogenic diet doesn't work because of these things. First one is the most common: fatigue and muscle weakness. People are like, I can't exercise on keto. I get so weak. I can't do anything. It must be bad, right? It must be bad because I can't walk. I can't move. I'm miserable. I'm tired. Guys, this is a symptom of low electrolytes. It's a symptom that basically you flushed them all out and you didn't replenish them well. The number one that's going to help you with fatigue and muscle weakness is going to be sodium. You need a lot of sodium. And for years and years and years, the medical community has been teaching us that we should have low sodium diets because sodium is bad for us. It causes water retention. It causes heart disease or heart problems, whatever, all of this stuff. Dr. Finney has a huge section of sciencey stuff. I should grab my book. It's over here somewhere. But in his book, The Art and Science of Low Carbohydrate Living, that discusses why those studies were bogus. They weren't done well. They were based on certain circumstances that don't really involve normal people. And the studies since then have proven that people that have at least 5 grams of salt per day, or sodium, not salt, sodium per day, do better and are healthier than people who don't. That's on any diet. So if you go over onto Dr. Finney's blog, I will try to remember to link that in the About section later. But if you go over to his blog, he has a whole bunch of articles on and links to the research that talks about sodium and how you shouldn't be vilifying it. It's really, really hard to overdose on sodium. Like, really difficult. You have to eat a lot of salt. A lot more than any other electrolyte, for sure. And so you don't need to stress about having too much sodium. You need to stress on having a minimum amount. If you're dropping water weight, it doesn't even matter if you hit that minimum, you're still going to have keto flu. But you should still hit that minimum because eventually your body will catch up and you need to continue that minimum throughout your ketogenic journey forever. Not just the first week, forever and ever, amen. So get used to loving salt, because salt is very good for you on keto, because it's very difficult for your body to hold on to it. It dumps it a lot. So sodium, the minimum amount that you should be getting is 5,000 milligrams per day. Me personally, I take a lot more than that. So I should do the math on how much I take. I think I take about 7,000 to 12,000, depending on the day. So on a normal day when I'm not sweating and I'm not exercising and I'm not doing anything extra, I'm hitting about 7,000. And on days that I'm sweating or doing any extra exercise, things like that, I can go to the higher level. And I go based on how I'm feeling. If I've taken my minimum and I'm still feeling off, I always take more because it's always going to fix it. So if you're feeling tired on keto, seriously, go put a gram, a quarter teaspoon of just plain old salt in your hand and eat it and see what happens 10 minutes later. And then come back and tell me it doesn't work, because it does every single time. Every single time. Because your body needs a certain amount of sodium to run, and it can't run without it. And so all of your functions start to slow down and go, whoa, when you don't have enough. So sodium is the number one that you need to worry about. Some people have issues with blood pressure. Dr. Finney says to do 3,000. If you have blood pressure issues that are affected by sodium, of course, you should monitor your blood pressure. Your doctor should be helping you. If you're dealing with some kind of condition that's not normal, you should be dealing with your doctor anyway. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. Dr. Finney is a scientist, but even he says you should be being monitored by your doctor and make sure that it works for you. But he recommends a lower amount of sodium for people who are salt sensitive. Most people are not. In fact, I had high blood pressure when I started, and I started right in with the 5,000 milligrams and upped it really quickly. And my blood pressure was high, but it never went higher. And over 3 months period of time, it started to go down to where now it's lowest it's ever been in my lifetime. And I'm taking way more sodium than ever before. So it isn't always, blood pressure isn't always linked to sodium. And the reason blood pressure is linked to sodium is because it causes you to retain water, which on a ketogenic diet, it doesn't usually do that. We just discussed that. So that's the reason it's not going to cause you problems. So we'll basically just ease your way in if you have high blood pressure. Watch your blood pressure. Try and get to the highest level you can where it doesn't bother you. And it's, of course, not too high. You'll know if it's too high, if you took too much at once, if you have diarrhea. Oh my heck, that one's not even on my list. See, I could do like 15. I might have to add that one in. Yeah, diarrhea and constipation. We'll talk about that one probably as well. So I'll go into headache next because headache goes along with that. If you're having a weird headache, it's probably sodium. Okay, so that one goes along with that. Yeah, I'll go into that one and then fit that one there. Okay, so the next one is a really strange one. It's where you just can't catch your words. So you like feel foggy brained, muddle headed, weird. You can't, when you're trying to say something, you can't remember the name of something. It's almost like a weird form of dementia. That is the next thing that happens to you. So headache, fatigue, muscle weakness is going to happen first. It's like fatigue, okay? Then you're going to start getting a headache. After the headache, if you haven't dealt with it, you're going to start to miss things. You're going to talk funny. You're going to have a hard time getting your words out. The kids always know when I haven't had enough because they'll say it to me. Mom, have you not had your Solé water today? What is your deal? Because my brain will shut off and I won't be able to use my mouth, which, you know, my mouth is my biggest, greatest tool. So that's a problem. One time I went a whole day without any sodium, and it was a day I was shopping, like at Target. I was there at midnight. It was Christmas shopping, and I literally, my brain fried. My mouth would not work. It was like I was drunk. I did vlog that day way back then. If you ever want to go looking for it in Vlogmas. But yeah, it was really sincerely scary that my brain literally shut off. I could drive, I could act normally, but I could not speak. It was the weirdest thing. That's how my body deals with it. But I went home, took some sodium, fixed it. So it fixes it quick usually. Most of those things fix as soon as you consume some sodium. Those are linked to sodium, and once your body has it, it will fix it right away. Okay, so the next ones are a little bit more tricky. I'll add one more, the constipation diarrhea problem, okay? A lot of people get constipation on keto. There's a couple of reasons for that. The first reason is because, especially if you're doing keto for weight loss, you're just not eating as much. You're definitely not eating as much fiber, so you just don't have as much bulk in your stool. There's just less of it. There's less waste, especially if you're eating a really clean keto and you're not eating any bars or things like that. You really don't go very often. So make sure it's actually constipation. If you go and it looks normal, you're fine, even if it's been 4 or 5 days. But if you go and it's difficult, you know what constipation feels like. If it's that is an electrolyte issue. Sodium is number one, and then magnesium is the other one. So if you're having issues in the bowel department, raise your sodium game. Sodium is like the magic cure-all for all things keto. If you have a problem, I'm always going to say, what are your electrolytes? If someone is not losing weight, if someone is having issues with water retention, if someone is having issues with all kinds of things, my first question is always, well, are you tracking your electrolytes? How much are you getting? Every single time, they're not tracking, they're not getting enough, they're barely taking any, or something like that. And I'm always like, dude, like, this is huge. This is why electrolytes are my number 2 video on getting started with keto. The first one being carbs under 20, because they're vital to not feeling crappy on keto. If you want to feel good and have that mental clarity that everyone talks about, running on fat for fuel, you need to actually have sodium in order for your brain to function. Otherwise, it turns off. So that is huge. So constipation can be fixed with sodium usually. If your sodium level is good, you shouldn't be constipated. Your magnesium, that can sometimes just be like, magnesium doesn't really flush as much as sodium and potassium do. Magnesium is kind of an easier one to take. You just take a pill and you should be good. 300 to 700 milligrams, you can up and or down that dose in order to help you feel better. The other magnesium one is that you can't sleep well. So if you're having trouble with insomnia or constipation, magnesium is the problem usually. So you can take different kinds of magnesium. Magnesium oxide is the most available, and while it's not a terrible form of magnesium, it's also only 4% absorbable, so you have to take a lot of it to get the benefit. So I don't recommend buying your magnesium at Walmart. I recommend looking up online, getting it on someplace like Amazon or a vitamin shop so that you can tailor your magnesium type to the need that you have. So the best for constipation is going to be citrate. Citrate is going to get things moving. But the thing is, you don't want to use citrate all the time. That's just an emergency for an emergency constipation situation, okay? You don't want to use it all the time because it can interfere with some other things in your body. It's something to do with this thing called cytoplasmin, and I don't really know how it works, but I just know that citrates, including potassium citrate, can interfere with it and cause issues in the body, so it's not the best thing to always supplement with. A lot of people like malate. I personally haven't tried it, but it's supposed to give you energy. So a lot of people take malate in the morning to give them energy. Me, I take a lot of glycinate. I like glycinate because it helps relax me. It helps me sleep. It's a relaxing. So some people take malate in the morning and take the other half glycinate at night to help with both things. It's really up to you what you want to try. There's other ones as well, Oroweight, and there's a few other ones. I don't exactly know what they all do, but you can just try different ones and see how. You just need to be able to sleep and have good bowel function. If you have those two things, your magnesium is probably on point. Me, I take 625 milligrams of glycinate every day. And that seems to be the magic number for me to keep things regular and to sleep well. Okay, so the last one is the one that scares people the most, I think. It's the muscle cramping, chest pain, physical effects. Those are going to happen when your body freaks out because it's dumping so much sodium. It dumps your potassium in order to conserve sodium. You do not want this to happen. Keep your sodium levels up so you do not have a potassium drop. When you have a potassium drop, you will know it because it's the worst symptoms you have on a ketogenic diet. You will wake up in the middle of the night with horrible Charlie horses that you think are going to take you out of the bed and make you scream. I will get chest pain really easy. I feel like my chest is constricted. And right now with COVID-19 going around, literally my chest feeling compressed is the last thing on the planet I ever want to feel because it scares me so bad. So I always know it's potassium. Potassium is tricky to kind of get. It's in all of our foods. It's in especially meats and green veggies, which we eat a lot of on keto. So it is fairly easy to get your potassium levels where you need it without supplementing. But I have just found that it works better for me to supplement a little bit of potassium. You need to be careful though, because if you supplement too much potassium, it can literally stop your heart. It takes a crap ton of potassium to do that. So don't let that scare you. Don't let that scare you. I basically just take a few grams of no salt in the morning with some Mio and a little water and a little shot glass. It's horrid. It tastes awful. But then I know for sure that I've hit my potassium for the day and I don't have to stress about watching my food so closely. You just need to take the amount that makes you feel the best. So if you're taking the sodium and you're still suffering and you don't really want to raise your sodium game even higher, you can add a little bit of potassium and that will help you. Just be careful with it. Like people have given me crap about suggesting supplementing potassium because they say it's dangerous and I'm going to be in trouble. I'm going to kill people. Guys, be smart about this. Don't go and take like so much potassium that you like kill yourself. Like it's not rocket science. Take a little bit. See how you feel. That's what I did. And I felt a lot better since I started supplementing. I've only been supplementing potassium since last August. So almost a year, and I'm a lot better. I'm a lot more stable with my electrolytes when I take it, but I still have the super high sodium. So I try really hard not to overdo the potassium. the idea is to balance them out. If you have a higher level of sodium, your potassium should just stay. And if you have a higher level, of potassium, your sodium should be here. It's kind of a balancing act, and you can only be the judge of what's best for you. So if you start with the minimum numbers and then move them around until you feel awesome, and you feel awesome every day, then you hit your magic target. Now, when you have a water weight whoosh, it's, no holds barred on the dropping of electrolytes. It's sometimes hard to get back on top of it, and it takes a few days to build it back up. Happens to me a lot. I'm just used to it. I just raise my sodium game for a few days and then go back to my regular number when I start to feel normal again, which I've just done so many times. I just know how to do that. So yeah, be careful. You want a minimum of, I used to say 1,000, but I now say 2,000. A minimum of 2,000 milligrams of potassium and a maximum of like 3,500 to 4,000, depending. You don't want to go above 5,000 milligrams of potassium, and you need to include all of your food, which is why it's vital to track your electrolytes, because you want to make sure you don't get too much. If you're getting too much potassium, it could be dangerous to you. So be careful. Please be careful. And don't blame me. Like I said, I'm no doctor. Don't ask your doctor. Don't ask me. But I tell you, it will help you with muscle cramping and chest pain. So those are all of the 11 side effects of keto and how to deal with them. You can see electrolytes cause the bulk of them, and the ones with that ketosis causes basically are out the window after your body gets used to burning ketones, especially after you're fat adapted. Takes about 4 to 6 weeks to get fat adapted, and you'll know you're fat adapted because if you're monitoring your electrolytes well, when you hit fat adaptation stage, you get that mental clarity, and you feel like you can run for 20 years and never run out of fuel. Like you have this superpower feeling, and you just know that your body has now been convinced that fats are what to run on. And that's basically the benefits of keto. And that's why I keep doing it, because I feel better than I've ever felt in my lifetime. And I give keto all the credit, not just from losing weight. I felt better within a month of doing keto when I was still almost 400 pounds. I felt like a whole different person. So, yeah, keto saved me in more ways than one. All right, guys, so now it's time for questions. If you have any, please post them. And if you don't, we can be done. There's not a whole lot of people here today, which I guess nobody really cares about the side effects. I don't know. But I just want to say hi to everybody, and if you got questions, answer them. So, all right, let's see. Okay, Karen Rothwell says, my husband had horrible keto rash and vitamin B complex helps. Okay, that's good to know. Vitamin B. I'm going to try and remember that. I actually take that. It's part of, I think there's vitamin B complex in my ritual vitamins, but I don't know if I wasn't taking those when I started, so I don't know. That didn't really help me. Okay. Oh, Lisa Sums is here. Hello, my dear. She's the nicest subscriber on the internet. She's awesome. Kelly Dos Reese says, I do 100 ounces of water, and I wonder if it's making you retain water more. Yes, it can be, especially if you're not doing extra electrolytes. So if you're going to drink that much water because you like it, because some people just really like to drink a lot of water, which is fine, you just need to up your electrolytes game, and that usually will combat it. If you're peeing all the time, you need more electrolytes. If you're not peeing all the time, you don't need as many. You kind of go by that cycle, and my body goes in cycles. So right now I'm retaining water, so I'm not taking as much Solé water. Yesterday I took only 4 tablespoons, which is probably the lowest I've ever done in a really long time, and I feel okay today. So, but I'm off of the whoosh. Darn it. I like that whoosh, man. Watching that scale drop every single day. I hate watching the scale stay the same, stay the same, stay the same. Don't we all hate that? But it's the way it is. It's the way it is. So, yeah, you just have to go by what is happening to you. Lisa Sum says, I used to drink tons of water like old diet thoughts. Now I just drink to thirst and after activity, and I lose way better. Drinking lots of water made the scale wide swings for me. Yeah, I get wide swings anyway, no matter what I do. It's just me, which is whatever. Karen Rothwell says, I always know when I've had a water weight whoosh when I wake up with a headache. Yep, definitely. You just wake up and you just feel off. I'll wake up and I'll just be like, huh? dang it, I was really good on my electrolytes yesterday. What is the deal? And then I'll just be extra careful that day. And it takes a couple of days once you start to feel keto fluish. It takes a couple of days of like doing the regular and really staying on top of it to get back to normal. Sometimes it's like, I don't know, it's how it goes. Hey, Diane Keating, thank you. Awesome. Karen posted the link to the blog article. That's great. Lynn Anderson says, I carry Himalayan salt in my purse now. Thanks for the advice. Yes, guys, carry sodium with you always. I have my baggie. I hope I ever get pulled over. I actually got, when I went through the airport, they actually had to test it to make sure it wasn't drugs. They had to make sure it was actually sodium. But I take rock salt because you can just swallow it with water and take it like pills if you want. I also, when I first started keto, I didn't like the taste of salt as much, and I found the most flavorful salt that was easiest for me to just take, like with just eat salt, was Redmond salt, the real salt brand. So I would measure that out. That's what I did almost for the first, before I started YouTube, actually, probably 8 months before I dared to do Solé water. I would just carry a baggie. I weighed it out in the morning, the amount I needed, and then I would just take a pinch of it all day long, every day. But sometimes I'd be licking it out of my hand, and people would be like, what are you doing? I got a lot of weird questions when I was doing that. It's easier to take Solé water. I don't know if it's people think that I'm drinking alcohol, and they just think I'm having a shot, so they're like, oh, man, girl. They don't say anything when I'm drinking my little shot of Solé, ever. But if I'm eating salt, they think it's so weird. So there's that. But yeah, you can swallow these like pills, which is something I wish I would have known at the beginning, because then you don't really have to taste it so much. So you just weigh it out and take, a little handful every couple of hours. So it's important to, I didn't mention that. It's important to keep your electrolytes going all day. So you don't want to take it all at once. If you take it all at once, that's what causes the diarrhea. I never really talked about that. Whoops. Yeah. If you're having diarrhea on keto, you might be taking too much electrolytes at once or getting too much fat. Your body will sometimes not deal with the fat, and honestly, you don't need the fat. The less fat you eat, the more your fat you're going to burn from your body. The low carb is what you need, not the high fat. If you have questions about that, I have all the answers on this channel somewhere. But yeah, take it throughout the day. Don't take it all at once. If you take it all at once, don't blame me if you're barfing your brains out, because you will be. Yeek. They don't call it a salt flush. Well, they do call it a salt flush for a reason. So that's why it also helps with constipation. All right. 5,000 is 4 tablespoons of Solé, right? Yes. It's about 4.5, I think. So there's 1,400 milligrams per tablespoon of Solé water, which is why I do Solé water, because it's easy to track. I have videos on it. It's spelled S-O-L-E with a little accent mark over the top. I think it's French for something. But basically what Solé water is it's a chemistry thing. So water can only absorb a certain amount of sodium. And so that's why it's trackable, because it doesn't matter how much salt you put in the jar, as long as there's still salt in the bottom after you've shaken it up and it's sat for more than 24 hours. Once it separates, that clear water on the top can only absorb so much sodium. So it's about 1,400 milligrams. It's 1,434 if you want to really get picky about it. I just track 1,400 because, you never know if you let it sit long enough or it just doesn't have enough. Anyway, you can't have too much. It can't have more than 1,400 milligrams. It can't have less if you're not careful, if you don't let it sit long enough or whatever, or don't put enough salt in the jar. But it can't have more than 1,434 because science, chemistry. And that's why it's trackable, which is why it makes it awesome. Plus, you can shoot it really quickly and get it done. Yes, it burns. Yes, your stomach will feel like it wants to vomit. Chase it with water or diet soda. I prefer diet soda, but a lot of people criticize me about that too. Sorry. All right. Okay. Does Solé water ever go bad? No. Salt is a natural germ killer. In fact, people use it in their pools to keep their pools nice and clean instead of using chemicals like, like chlorine. So no, it should not go bad. There's no reason it would go bad. I personally make mine every single day. I just have a small jar that makes the exact amount I need, and I pour it out into a little container, which I don't have with me, dang it. Should have brought that up here because I knew I would be talking electrolytes today. I have a little container called Go Stack. I actually think I do have the link in most of my videos in my Amazon affiliates. It's GOSTAK, and I pour it into the Go Stack container. I've just managed to do it exactly right without dumping any of the salt. You can use a syringe to scoop it out, or a little scooper to scoop it out. If you have a wide mouth jar, you can scoop it out with a spoon, whatever. However you need to get it out. You don't want to shake it up again. So you want that clear water after it's separated. Then you know that it's absorbed when it needs to absorb. So that's what I do. I just have a little tiny mason, the same one that's in my Solé water video. I legit still use that thing, even though it spills, the lid spills. I don't shake it anymore. What I do is I just pour the water in really quickly. I run the water really fast to stir up the salt, add a little handful, and put it back on the microwave where I keep it. And I just make it every single day. I pour it out, make a new one. I don't pour the salt out, sorry. I pour out the Solé water into my Go Stack, leave the salt and water in the jar, fill it up more, which stirs up the salt, and add a little pinch, a little handful. I just grab some, put it in to make sure the salt's always being replenished. That's how I do it. There's lots of ways to do it though. Like, you do it however works for you. Whatever makes it easier. Now, if you take a shot and you squirt a squirt of Mio in it, it will taste better. That is how I take the potassium. It makes it so that I cannot swallow that potassium salt without water, without Mio. It's gross. It burns. I hate it. I can't do it. So if the sodium's bothering you, try that trick. And the faster you get it down, the better. So putting it in a big, huge jar of water, first of all, you're going to end up drinking too much water doing it that way. And it's just more to get down. If you don't like the taste, it's like really salty Gatorade, especially if you put Mio in it, which is nice. It's yummy, but if you don't like that flavor, it's going to take you a really long time to get the salt down. Whereas if you just shoot it and get it done, it's done. Move on. You know what I mean? Do that 4 times a day, you're good. Take a tablespoon 4 times a day, you're good. Unless you're not feeling great. If you're feeling any of those symptoms of keto flu, start to feel weakness, start to feel headache, start to feel fatigue, take more. And that's, you start with the minimum and then you adjust from there. You're going to want to hit the minimum every day, no matter what. All the time. Forever. Until you're not doing keto anymore. So, embrace the sodium, guys. And you get to the point where you just love it anyways. I promise. Even if you hate it at the beginning. All right. Hey, Melanie, Princess Ninja and Keto's here. She's driving, so she can't talk. But hey, girl, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Awesome. I got to meet Melanie and Karen back before COVID-19. Oh, thank you, Karen, for my last vacation. I look back on it fondly. We went to Disney World. We were in Florida. It was awesome. Now I feel like I'll never get to go anywhere ever again. I can't leave. I can't risk anything until there's some kind of treatment that really works, because I've still got 5 more kids that need to be raised up. I've got 4 adult children and 5 children under the age of 14 that still need to be raised up, and I can't afford to risk anything until they have some kind of treatment or cure that works. Right now, it's not looking so awesome, so I'm super careful. This week, though, guys, is our recital, and so I will be exposed to every single child in the entire studio because I am the photographer and I have to photograph them. I will be wearing my mask all day, but they won't all be wearing masks when I take their photo. Wish me luck, guys. But I cannot get sick until after this Saturday. I guess if I need to be sick, it has to be this summer when I'm doing nothing. But I don't really want to. Sounds horrible. Lisa Sum says it feels like an onslaught of Alzheimer's when electrolytes are low. Yes, it does. I always say, like, Dave, is this dementia or is this electrolytes? I always go and try sodium first if I can't talk or think or remember words or like where things are. Man, it makes me wonder, like, how much dementia and stuff might be caused by low sodium, because a lot of older people have really been drilled the low sodium thing. I know my mother-in-law has. And she suffers from a lot of memory loss, and I often wonder if she just ate more salt, if that might help. I don't know. Like I said, not a doctor, just a mom. All right. Kelly says I asked her this last weekend. I'm sorry. I'm trying. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Melanie says, Princess Ninja and Keto, she says, constipation is common for people without a gallbladder because there's not enough concentrated bile to produce a breakdown of the food too. Oh yeah, okay. I didn't think about that. So yeah, if you're doing this on without a gallbladder, you're going to have different bowel issues than people on just regular, no other symptom things, doing regular keto. So yeah, definitely monitor that. I don't know exactly how you combat that, but I would assume it's electrolytes. All right. Let's see. Mona Mohammed is here. Tiffany Jade is here. Rebecca Smith is here. Kesara Sarah. She says, this whole thing just reminded me to take my vitamins. I do take vitamins. Vitamins aren't 100% necessary if you get a lot of greens. But if you're not really a greens eater like me, you're going to want to take some micronutrients. I personally take Ritual brand because they have vitamin D3 from, I think it's plankton or something. Lichen, some kind of plant. I don't know, some kind of sea plant, and also has the bioavailable vitamins that are most important for women. It's not for men. Sorry, guys. I don't have an affiliate with them or any discount. I've asked, but... So, and that reminds me, just while I'm here, if you guys are on Facebook trolling around and you happen to see an ad of me and Kelly Clarkson giving away some fancy vitamins that make us lose weight, those are Ritual. They stole my videos, Kelly Clarkson's videos, the little Ritual bottle inside. If you watch it, the inside of the pill bottle is Ritual vitamins. They stole all that video for some stupid, not gonna work product that they're selling to people. It makes me so angry. There's nothing I can do, but it makes me so angry. I'm sure Kelly Clarkson has seen it so many times, she just rolled her eyes and move on. So that's what I'm trying to do. But you guys, just so you guys know, I didn't give them that, and that's Ritual vitamins in that video. And it's why I haven't done another Ritual vitamins review, because I don't want to show the product, because I don't want people to steal it and think that I'm taking a product, because I'm not. It's a vitamin. Oh, yeah. Well, we won't go on that soapbox, but that's just, yeah. I did say how many milligrams of sodium in Solé water? 1,400 milligrams. Okay. Do I take Solé 1 tablespoon at a time? I personally take it 2 tablespoons at a time, 3 to 4 times a day. But that's just me. You can take it as small as you need to. So if you take a tablespoon, when I first started this, I couldn't take a tablespoon of Solé without getting diarrhea. Now I could probably take 4. Your body just builds up a tolerance to it. So if you take a tablespoon of Solé water, don't panic if 20 minutes later you're sitting on the loo. Just take less. So take a teaspoon at a time every hour. You just need to build it up. So at first your body's going to be like, what is happening? And then it'll go, oh, right, I need that. So it just takes it a second to figure it out. Now I could probably drink. I have a friend who drinks cups of Solé water, but her problem is not keto. Her problem is something else. She was diagnosed with adrenal fatigue. Turned out it was just that her body cannot ever retain electrolytes. So she literally has like a huge thermos of straight Solé water that she drinks all day long. And guess who was the one who told her about Solé water? Before that, she was bedridden for 8 years. She hardly functioned as a human being. Now she's out running her kids around a swim team and dance, and every time she sees me, she has this look of just love and affection for me, and it's just not huggy, but she wants to hug me. Every time she sees me, she's just like, because I told her about Solé water. Crazy. There's some weird stuff out there, but yeah, she can drink it. I could never do that. That's just craziness. I mean, she doesn't dilute it or anything. We're talking like cups. It's insane. Okay, D. McCauley says, is the keto fat whoosh a real thing? I'm 2 weeks in. I'm told that around 3 weeks of ketosis, you hit the whoosh. It depends on how you're looking at whoosh. It's not a keto thing. It's a weight loss thing. And it happens with every kind of weight loss. But basically what it is that initially the keto whoosh is that first week. If you didn't have it the first week, It's not the keto whoosh. The keto whoosh is where you dump off about a bunch of water like we talked about. Your body was retaining water, you going on an anti-inflammatory diet, your body just dumps it for various reasons. That water weight whoosh is the keto whoosh. The regular cyclical whoosh is more from losing fat off your body, burning fat off your body. And basically what happens is your fat cells stay open by putting water in to hold them open, right? Because they figure when you burned the fat out of it that you're going to be replacing it. So it just keeps it open for a certain amount of time. For me, it seemed like it was 2 weeks of holding and 2 weeks, it still is like that, 2 weeks of holding water and 2 weeks of dumping it. So don't panic if the scale isn't going down, because eventually if you're eating a calorie deficit, it has to finally go. You just have to have a lot of patience. But yes, like when I was bigger, I could feel in my fat rolls peas, hard frozen peas. I thought I had cancer. I thought I had all kinds of tumors all over my body that I was discovering because I was losing weight. No, it turned out it was just hard fat cells that were holding water, and there's more surface tension when it's full of water than when it's full of fat and it's squishy. So you can usually tell when your fat cells are retaining water by feeling the fat, feeling the squishy fat, and seeing if it has little beads of, it doesn't do that for me anymore, so I don't know if my body just stopped burning fat or what, but that was very common for me. And it seemed like right when they started to be really weird and feel really bumpy was right before I would dump water and then it would go away. So yeah, it's a thing. It's just your body's way of preserving its fat cells. Your body really likes those gosh dang fat cells. Supposedly it takes like 9 years to kill them. 9 years of not filling them for them to dissolve and go away. At least that's what Ted Naiman said. I hope that's not true, but probably is. Probably why it's so easy to gain your weight back once you lose it. To be really consistent and keep it off for a really long time to get to the point where your body just doesn't want it so bad. It's irritating. But yeah, there are two different whooshes. So like the keto whoosh is from going on keto and dumping water. And then the fat loss whoosh is from holding water while your body trying to believe if you're going to put more fat in the cell. And when it finally decides you're not going to, it dumps the water out and closes up the cell. Though the cell can be reopened, just so you know, it doesn't actually disappear. Can I add more water to my Solé water container on top of the salt part that's left? Shake that up to make more. Do I need to start the process over again? Yeah, I talked about that, but yeah, you do not have to do that. I never do that unless it's getting to the point where I can't pour the water off and it's just full of pink sediment. Eventually it does get so much sediment in the bottom that it's just grody, and then I dump it out because I want to start over. But that doesn't happen like every 5-6 months. Like it takes forever for that to build up. So yeah, I just add more water to it, shake it up, put more salt in, just a little bit more salt each day is how I do it. Let's see. Oh, so Kelly, I'm glad to hear you added 4 tablespoons of Solé to her 100 ounces of water with the BioSteel Electrolyte scoops. So that was funny. She was telling me she's taking this BioSteel, and I looked it up, and it has no electrolytes in it. And I'm like, what? It's labeled as electrolytes. It has 32 milligrams of potassium per scoop and no sodium at all, and 2 milligrams of magnesium. I really hope I read that wrong, because that just seems like snake oil salesman, because it's like $50 for a box of that stuff for a big container. But I'm like, you would need so much to make any difference whatsoever. Like even in the potassium department, that's nothing. That's like what you get in a freaking Powerade Zero. Yeah, that's upsetting. That's upsetting. But yeah, it tastes good though. So use it for a flavoring. Don't waste your money. Don't throw it out. Tastes good, and it doesn't have extra sodium, so you can add your sodium to it, and sure, yeah, that works. That's great. But it's awfully expensive for just a flavoring. Mio's way cheaper. Oh, Tiffany, that's awesome. Tiffany Jade says, my company asked me to relocate to Salt Lake City from Vegas, and she would love to take me to lunch. That would be fun. I don't know if I'm ready for that with all the COVID yet, but I'm game. I'm game for something. I just don't know how I feel about getting together with people just yet. I was really lucky to get to meet one of my awesome followers, Terry Green, before this whole COVID thing went down. Before we knew how serious it was, we went out to eat, and then after that, she was here traveling, and then she went home, and I was like, wow, we barely, like, in 2 weeks later, the borders to Canada were closed. Woo, close call. Anyway, yes, message me. We'll discuss it. Gloria Gross says her teeth are beautiful. I don't know. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, please, you're so nice. She says she didn't think I could get prettier. But I did. I don't know about that. But thank you. Sometimes I'm like, wishing I had that little crossover. Like, do you guys remember? Go back and watch my old videos. I was fatter and I had this cute little crossover teeth in the front. Is it actually called potassium salt? Yes. Don't get the one that's called light salt, because that one has sodium in it too. And if you're going to use that one, it's even trickier to get the potassium, and you have to, like, I didn't know that at first. I was telling everybody to use light salt, and it's like part sodium. So be careful with that. The one I use is no salt brand, and it's straight potassium chloride, I think it is. Potassium oxide? Potassium chloride? Gosh. I don't know what it is, but it's potassium. You can also take cream of tartar, but it does have some carbs, so make sure you count it. You can get potassium citrate powder, but like I said about citrates, not the best choice. But it's the most flavorful. Potassium citrate is what you're going to find in soda. So I am drinking it in my Coke Zero. It's also in like the products like Zip Fizz, stuff like that. So if you're taking a product like that, it's probably also potassium citrate that's in that BioStill stuff too. So I also prefer to take the no salt, even though it tastes like crud, for that reason. So I'm not taking an oxide. I mean, a citrate. Oh my gosh, not an oxide. Citrate. I'm alive. I promise. Oh, that's a good idea. Spray my mask on both sides with colloidal silver and let it dry. So to help you both ways. Yeah, I know. It's going to be risky. Hopefully none of the kids that come will be sick. We've been going to dance classes and nobody's come that's sick, and we haven't gotten sick at all from anything, which is awesome. All right. Bye, Lisa. I'm sorry I didn't get to see you go. Debbie Lyman's here. Okay, Keto Tia. I've been on a 75-day stall. I'm so frustrated. Any tips? I need more information. So first of all, are you taking measurements and pictures as well, and you haven't had any change also in measurements and pictures? That is a long time. I usually say no more than 6 weeks, which is 42 days. So that is almost double that. That is a long time. So you've definitely been at the same place long enough. How's your calorie deficit? Like, are you just doing the high fat, low carb keto? Are you doing the higher protein focused keto that I teach? Are you following, what macros are you following? Like, there's lots of things. How are your electrolytes? Electrolytes can, when they're off, cause you to retain water for a period of time, though that's a really long time for it to just be electrolytes. I would imagine it's probably you're just not getting enough of a calorie deficit. And my advice would be to raise your protein and lower your fat. Don't go low, be lower than 50 grams of fat per day, which if you've been eating high fat keto would be really hard and next to impossible anyway, and you'll feel like you're dying. But that is the way to make it go again, is raising up your proteins and lowering your fats. It's usually the thing that kicks it into gear. If you're testing your ketones, just so you know, when you do the higher protein, your ketones will be lower. Because basically you only make enough ketones to give your body the energy it actually needs, so you don't have a lot of excess ketones floating around. That's the reason. Okay. Try to keep windows open and keep the airflow going when taking photos. Yeah, I don't even know if there are windows in that area that I'm stuck in. But I will only have one class at a time, and they will be 6 feet apart, and I'm only photographing one child at a time. And then I get to Photoshop them all together in a group shot and add the shadows and make it look real, because I'm a wizard and a magician. We'll see how that goes. It is possible, but it may take way longer. But I have a $3,000 bill I got to pay, and I have no other way to pay it. So I really hope I make enough to pay that bill. I told the kids if I don't make enough to pay that bill this weekend, that they have to take a year off dance, and I have to spend a year paying them back. Okay. D, yes. So you lost that 6 pounds the first week. It was mostly water that you were already retaining. The common amount to lose is just like on any other calorie deficit diet, 1 to 2 pounds a week of fat. Even when you're significantly overweight, obese, I lost more than that a week. Probably 4 or 5 at the beginning. Nah, 3, 4. Probably only 3, 4. A lot of it was probably water. I did drop a ton of weight at the beginning, but now like 1 to 2 pounds is a miracle for me now. But that's average and healthy. So I wouldn't stress. And it does that where it holds, and then it drops. So you burn the body fat, you just haven't seen it on the scale yet, which is why I say to do measurements, because that's another thing. Okay. You have had changes in measurements, Keto Tia, you have had changes in measurements and pictures change. Then you're probably just building lean mass, and so the weight hasn't gone down. It could also be electrolytes if you're not managing them well. You could be just retaining a lot of water. If you're already doing what I'm doing, sometimes you can jog your metabolism a little bit by doing 1 high fat day if you're not already doing it. So if you're doing a severe calorie deficit for a really long time, your body gets kind of used to it. And then if you do 1 high fat day, which is basically I do like 120 grams of fat and 120 grams of protein when I do it, it kind of kick it into gear and make it drop. You can also do that with a carbo load, but I don't go there because I will just carbo load for 40 years. I can't do it. I cannot be trusted with carbs. But it's the same kind of thing where you just kind of shock your system and then gets that water to drop finally. But mostly it's just patience, lots of patience, especially if you're closer to your goal, because, it gets tough. It gets tough. All right. She says that I do the macros. Yeah, you can try lowering your fats by 10 and then raising your proteins up if you're starving by, I think it's like 22, whatever. There are 9 calories. I can do this. I always mess it up. 9 calories and 1 gram of protein. And no, fat. I already messed it up. Oh, see? I need to write it down and just like mantra it. 9 calories in every gram of fat. And there are 4 calories in every carb and protein. So if you take 90 calories down with your fats, you can add 90 calories of protein if you're hungry. Did I get that right? You can try that. That worked for me to get me to the 200 pounds lost, but I couldn't sustain it very long because it's miserable for me. But if you can do it, a lot of people do it, and a lot of people make it to their goal. But I have yet not made it to my official goal, and I don't know if I ever will because I can't do it long enough. Yeah, so, oh man, she's doing like everything right. I don't know, hun. This is the area of expertise where I suck at it. I don't know. But yeah, that's what I do too. 1,300 calories, 20 net carbs. But yeah, you can keep the 1,300 and you can lower it to 50 grams of fat if you really wanna. And keep your proteins up higher. That's what they teach on the other Facebook group that I help out in. It's a little different than what I teach, but it's called Protein Prioritized Dirty Keto on Facebook. And they have a different macro chart. So if you want to go there and try theirs is based on keto gains also, but it's based on body fat percentage. And so it gives a little bit different macros than what I give. So it's worth a try. You can also go to ketogains.com if you know your body fat percentage and use their calculator to get more personal macros. Mine are more of a starting place where you just kind of have to tweak it as you go till you lose again. But yeah, basically you lower the fat and raise the proteins. You keep the calories the same. I hope that helps. Sucks to be staying the same. But if your measurements are changing and your pictures are changing, you are burning body fat. So there you go. All right, let's see. Yes, hoping the Solé water will help me flush the water out because I've been stuck in the 190, 192. Yeah, same thing for Kelly. Yes, I hope it does. I hope it does. It should, because a lot of times when you aren't getting enough, your body is freaking out. But start giving it long enough, it'll eventually trust you and works. All right. Thanks, Tia. Definitely report back. I'd love to hear how it goes. Yeah. So Kim says, I've been on keto for 7 weeks and dropped 30 pounds, but I do find it gets stuck at the same weight for a few days, and then all of a sudden you lose 2 or 3 pounds for 3 days, and then it repeats the cycle. Yeah. For me, when I first started and I was almost 400 pounds, what it would do was I'd have 2 weeks where I didn't lose anything and I stayed the same. And then all of a sudden I would lose like a ton. I would lose like 6 and 6. Like I would lose like 12 pounds in 2 weeks. And then it would do it again. It would stay, and then it would drop, and it would stay, and it would drop. And I was measuring also every week. So I knew on the weeks that I wasn't going down on the scale that I was still losing body fat because my measurements were going down. And eventually it got to the point where I would gain weight for 2 weeks and then drop it, and it would go a little bit lower. So it's obvious that it's a lot to do with water retention with me, and I don't know if that's a normal thing or if that's just a me thing. It seems like a lot of people deal with that, and that's why I talk about it a lot, because I want people to know you can gain 10 pounds in a week and it can be water weight. It has happened to me so many times. Usually my average is on the week that I ovulate, which is the week coming up for me, I usually gain 6 to 7 pounds. So I keep watching the scale like a hawk right now, and so far it hasn't gone up, but I'm just waiting, because I'm sure it's coming. I really hope it doesn't. That would be super nice if it doesn't. But yeah, that's kind of how it goes for me. Weird. See, now you know that I retain water when I ovulate and not when I'm on my period. That's what you get for being here at the end of this video. Do you feel special? There's always some kind of tidbit at the end when people get me keep on talking about random things. All right. I really do need to go, though, you guys. I've got a lot going on today. We are getting ready for our big recital on Saturday. I have to go organize all the costumes. Of course, have to vlog it all for hide and seek. And then I have to get the kids to dance because today is their last practice before the big day. So, and today's our one where all the little kids go to dance, which is not my favorite, needless to say. Definitely haven't missed going to dance with the whole COVID thing. It's been really nice to get to stay at home every once in a while. And I actually get to see Jasper. He knows he has a mother now. So COVID has been a huge blessing to that child, because I don't think he knew he had a mother before, because he was left home every single day while I went to dance with the girls. And I love that we have a better relationship because of this whole stupid COVID thing. So it's nice. All right. I love you guys. Thanks so much for all the chatting and talking and advice and sharing. You guys are awesome, and we'll see you next week if I'm not dead. If you don't see me next week, it's because I'm dead. I may die this weekend. Okay, I'm just recovering, not dead. All right, we'll talk to y'all again soon. Bye.